If you live in a place like the US or Europe, you probably have a whole recycling ritual, right?
Oh, for sure. Separating the paper, the cans, the plastics.
Exactly. You might even feel a little guilty if you throw a plastic bottle in the regular trash. We rely on these big formal systems.
Right?
But what happens when that whole structured, organized system just doesn't exist?
And that is the huge question we're tackling today. We're going to peel back the curtain on a system that is, I think, mostly invisible to the Western eye.
Okay.
Our focus is this piece called The Unsung Heroes of Recycling, the vital role of global waste pickers. And it comes from someone with a lot of firsthand experience living and working in Asia.
So they saw this happening every day.
Every single day. It's a vital but, deeply neglected part of the global economy.
When I think of recycling infrastructure, I picture these giant automated facilities, MRFs they call them.
Right, the big machines sorting everything.
But in huge parts of the world, the whole system is powered by people. We're talking about waste pickers, millions of them, who are literally digging through mixed garbage to pull out anything that can be reused.
And this is the central paradox, and it's really disturbing when you think about it.
How so?
Well, these individuals are performing an essential service. I mean, a measurable one that helps fight climate change, helps fight pollution. It benefits everyone.
Right.
And yet, as the source makes really clear, they're dismissed. They're ignored. They get hit with the stigma of being lower class or even just called scavengers.
So their absolute necessity clashes with how society sees them.
Violently, yeah.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to get past that dismissal. We're going to unpack the 4 crucial ways these waste pickers are the real backbone of recycling in so many places.
And we'll get into the serious structural and health challenges they face.
And ultimately understand why recognizing their work is so critical, not just for sustainability, but for basic social justice.
Let's start by setting the scene. You mentioned that contrast. In the West, we're told to pre-sort our trash at home. The responsibility is on us.
Right, you've got the different colored bins, the labels, the whole public service campaign.
But the source explains that in many parts of Asia, especially in, lower income city areas, it's the total opposite.
No sorting at all.
Barely any. Everything. Food scraps, paper, plastic, glass, even hazardous stuff. It all goes into one bin, one bag.
Wow. So it creates this dense, hazardous mess.
Exactly. And because those formal municipal recycling programs are minimal or sometimes just non-existent, this huge vacuum opens up.
And that's where the waste pickers step in.
They step right into that gap. And let's be super clear, they're not picking through neat, pre-sorted bins.
No, they're going through piles of actual mixed garbage on the streets, in landfills.
Deeply unsanitary and dangerous conditions. And that's the grim start of the supply chain. They find a plastic bottle, a piece of metal, whatever.
And they have to clean it right there.
They do the first stage. Cleaning it, bundling it, sorting it. Then they sell it, usually by weight, to these small local recycling shops or scrap dealers.
Who then process it further up the chain.
Exactly.
And if they went there, the environmental cost would be immediate.
Oh, it would be a catastrophe.
Yeah.
All of that material would just be buried in a landfill or burned in some polluting incinerator. They are the human wall preventing that from happening every single day.
They are the first line of defense.
And their work has 4 really clear, measurable impacts.
Okay, let's unpack these 4 pillars. Because it sounds like these aren't just small contributions. They're critical to the whole system. What's the first one?
The first one is just drastically reducing the amount of waste that goes into landfills.
And how significant is that? Are we talking a few percentage points?
No, it's monumental, especially in huge cities like Manila or Delhi that produce insane amounts of waste daily. But it's not just about the space it saves.
It's more than that.
It's about the chemistry. When all that stuff gets packed into a landfill, the organic waste decomposes without oxygen.
Anaerobically.
Right. And that process releases huge amounts of methane gas.
Which is that really potent greenhouse gas, far worse than carbon dioxide in the short term, correct?
Precisely. About 25 times more effective at trapping heat. So by pulling out the plastics, the metals, the paper, waste pickers are literally stopping that chemical reaction. They're diffusing these little environmental bombs every single day.
Wow. That completely reframes what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so pillar number 2, resource conservation.
Yeah, so by recovering all this material, they're directly reducing our dependence on what we call virgin resources.
So new materials.
Exactly. New timber, new petroleum, new minerals. Making plastic from recycled material uses way less energy than making it from crude oil.
And I've heard the statistic for aluminum is just staggering.
It's something like 95% less energy needed compared to mining and smelting new aluminum. They are what makes the circular economy actually circular. They keep resources in play.
Which leads right into the third pillar, providing an income.
A very direct, if precarious source of income. This is the main livelihood for millions of people who are shut out of the formal job market. This is the informal economy.
And that sector's huge, isn't it?
I mean, we can't stress this enough. The informal economy is over 60% of the entire global workforce. In some poorer countries, it's as high as 90%.
And for waste pickers, that income, even if it's just a few dollars a day, is everything.
It's their only shield against total poverty. But because it's informal, they have none of the safety nets.
It's a kind of desperate self-employment. They do all the work and they take all the risk.
Exactly. And that flows right into the fourth pillar, which is supporting local recycling businesses.
So they're not just helping themselves.
Not at all. They are the essential base layer. They're the ones feeding the raw material to the scrap dealers, to the small processing plants.
So without the waste pickers' manual labor,
that entire local industry, the shops, the dealers, the small manufacturers who need recycled inputs, it would just collapse instantly.
What's so fascinating is how essential they are, but how marginalized they are at the same time.
It's a shocking contrast. Despite being the engine of this system, they face these incredible structural barriers. Life in the informal economy is just so precarious.
Because they're operating completely outside any legal protection.
Completely. And that shows up first in just major, constant health and safety risks.
I can only imagine.
Think about where they're working. They're exposed to sharp objects, rotting waste, toxic chemicals, pathogens.
And often with no protective gear, right? Not even basic gloves.
Often nothing. So the risk of infections, tetanus, respiratory diseases from dust and fumes, it's just astronomically high.
And if they get sick or injured?
That's the other part. There are no legal protections. Zero. No health insurance, no retirement savings, no paid sick days. If you get hurt, the income just stops.
Which could throw a whole family into crisis.
Immediately. It makes them incredibly vulnerable to exploitation, too.
The social stigma part is what I find most jarring. They're doing this job that's fundamentally necessary, but they're seen as dirty or low class.
And that stigma has very real-world impacts. It leads to profound discrimination.
How so?
It affects where they can live, often pushing them into slums. It affects their kids' education. And it means they're often harassed by police or displaced by bigger waste companies. They're pushed to the margins for doing vital work.
And what about the economics? You mentioned their income is precarious. Why is it so unstable for them?
Because they have zero market power. A formal company can store materials if prices drop and wait for them to go back up.
They can ride it out.
Right. Waste pickers can't. They need cash that day to buy food. So if the price of plastic plummets, they have to sell at that low price. They have no cushion at all.
They're just completely exposed to the market. And finally, there's the lack of recognition in policy.
They're totally invisible. They are the experts on the ground, but they are never, ever included in discussions about waste management policy.
So when a city signs a new contract with a big waste company,
the waste pickers are often seen as a problem to be cleared away, not an asset to be integrated into the new system.
So when you put it all together, what does this all mean? The source argues we owe them admiration, not just pity.
Yeah, admiration is definitely due. First, for their direct environmental impact. They are on the absolute front lines of the fight against pollution and climate change.
They're providing a public service, but for their own private survival.
That's perfectly put, and their economic contribution is enormous. They save cities millions in waste management costs, and they supply industry with raw materials. They're a self-funded economic engine.
And we have to talk about their resilience.
Their incredible resilience and resourcefulness, yeah. To endure those physical demands, that social stigma with zero support, it deserves just profound respect.
And it really becomes a matter of social equity. Recognizing their work is the first step to addressing these huge systemic inequalities.
So if we want to support them, it has to be a two-pronged approach. We need policy changes from the top and individual actions from the bottom.
Okay, so on the policy side, what does that look like?
Governments need to actually create legal frameworks that recognize them as formal service providers. You could have programs where cities are required to buy materials from waste picker co-ops at fair prices.
So that gives them stability.
It gives them stability, and then practically you have to provide resources, safety training, protective gear, and crucially, access to banking and microfinance.
So they can escape those predatory middlemen.
Exactly.
And for us, the public, It's about awareness.
We need campaigns that reduce the stigma, that shift the public view from scavenger to essential environmental worker.
Okay, so here's the part I find really interesting. What can you, the listener, do? Is there a direct action?
There is, and it's incredibly powerful. If you live in a community where you see waste pickers working, you can support them directly. Instead of mixing your recyclables in with your regular trash, just separate them and give those clean recyclables directly to them.
That's it.
That's it. That simple act means they don't have to dig through hazardous waste. It makes their work safer, easier, and it boosts their income.
That's a powerful, low-effort action with a huge impact.
A huge impact.
So to wrap it all up, the core insight here is that waste pickers are this essential but unseen engine driving recycling around the world. They're tackling global environmental crises while fighting their own battle against marginalization.
Which brings up a final, I think, really critical question for all of us.
What's that?
Given how environmentally necessary their work is and how massive the informal economy is, how can wealthier nations and formal systems justify a global waste solution that relies so fundamentally on the most vulnerable, most unprotected workers in the world?
That is the complex reality we have to confront. If you want to keep exploring topics like global life, expat living, and all the social and economic issues of being a global citizen, we really encourage you to check out the blog, A Bus on a Dusty Road.
And you should also listen to their Dusty Roads podcast. It's available on all the major platforms and has more great information on the informal economy and just the realities of global life.
And finally, subscribe to the A Bus on a Dusty Road YouTube channel for more great videos and information. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.